Hello everyone and welcome to the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Yes, I'm finally playing a Sherlock Holmes game. So, don't know much about this game, apart from that it's a Sherlock Holmes game. So, let's get into it. And yes, I did play a little bit, but I didn't just like the beginning part because I just wanted to make sure that it actually worked first.
What's this? No. La la la. Ooh. Oh, look! It's a book! Maybe it's a book about pirates with a treasure map. No, I don't think so. I wish that I had seen through all your lies. Oh, start from the beginning, not the middle. And so I decided to pick up my pen to relate the most disturbing episode of my life thus far.
It all began early one morning in 1898, when Sherlock Holmes invited me to accompany him on a visit to the Marquis of Conyngham.
That was an interesting intro.
Watson, my dear fellow, we can now go and inform the Marquis that we have found the Samoan necklace, and very much faster than Inspector Baines, too, which pleases me.
Have you really solved the theft, Holmes? And so quickly?
I have indeed, Watson, and believe me, it was completely unnecessary to spread out all over London, as our friend Baines thought was best. He likes to boast that his methods are equal to mine, but once again the outcome has contradicted him.
After all these years of accompanying you upon your investigations, I thought that by now I should be reasonably capable of following your train of thought. But in this particular case, I must admit that I don't understand anything at all.
Ah, you see, but you do not observe, Watson. There lies the difference. It is a matter of course.
A matter of course? In the middle of the night, when everyone is fast asleep, the service bell within that room rings out and alerts the servants. They dress quickly and come running, but the door is locked and there is a strong smell of burning from within. A few seconds later, the master of the house himself, the robbed Marchioness's husband, the Marquis of Conyngham, arrives and unlocks the door using the sole key. A fire has started inside the room, but they have managed to arrive in time to put it out. It is at that moment that the Marquis realizes that the famous Samoan necklace, which had been safe within its glass cabinet only a few hours earlier, has now disappeared.
In order to explain, let us confirm my theory before the arrival of Inspector Baines.
Reading tutorial level. Look at the broken showcase and click on it. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much as far as I got into the game. I just had a quick look around, but I didn't actually see the intro. I skipped it.
This window was cut with a diamond. A clean, discreet piece of work. This is where the necklace was.
See how tiny the hole is, and not one fingerprint upon the window.
So they probably used like a glove or something. Okay, after his clerk examine, the icon will turn green. Please move Sherlock Holmes to the left of the window. You should see two clues icons simultaneously. Oh, yep. To enter the examination mode with multi-zone, press that. You can switch cursor by using WASD. Okay, interesting.
A mark undoubtedly made by a diamond. Someone tried to cut the glass, but he was interrupted.
Therefore, the thief tried to escape through the window, but he was interrupted.
All the windows are locked. They've not been forced.
So what do you like? Probably guessing he came through the fireplace, maybe. There's a magnifying glass. Open your inventory by right mouse button while playing. You can also activate any items from your inventory by rolling the central wheel. Ah, okay, interesting. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, and then there's like all that they've said. They'll probably come in handy soon. Okay, notes. Other thing. Menu not available. Medals. And whatever that was. In the piano, some music scores are on the floor. Okay.
Let us examine the crumpled scores that have fallen off the piano.
Look for clues. Okay, was that something there?
These sooty prints were left by a tiny hand.
I don't understand why these music scores are covered with soot.
Oh, so did they get like a kid to climb through that, maybe? Okay, press R or... Okay. I like first person. It's more interesting. By pressing shift. Whee! Pressing space you can activate Sherlock Holmes' sixth sense. So you can see what else there's to be looked at. So there's this.
Not very well kept, this aquarium. I can see a dead fish floating on the surface.
Why is that dead? Oh, we have a thing
These
here.
documents are not very interesting, even though they're addressed to the Minister of Maritime Affairs.
The Marquis himself.
Okay. What else is there? Oh, okay, there's a thing here. Okay, not what I wanted.
A candle. It must have fallen from the chandelier.
Okay. Oh, is there like a way that they could have like gone that out? Maybe? No, otherwise more would have fallen out though. Oh, okay, there's things here.
Heading towards his chosen escape route, probably the window, the thief knocked over the stool, which then caught fire.
But why didn't he try to put the fire out at once?
Strange. There are some objects here that have been knocked over.
Can that painting being moved? Just wondering.
The fire started here, just beneath the bell pull.
Whoever pulled the cord would have had his feet in the fire, unless it was pulled before the fire started.
Footprints. You are not going to get on your knees to examine them.
There is no need. It is soot. The servants must have trodden in it while they were putting out the fire. The chest wasn't opened. The necklace wasn't in it.
Okay. Oh, I can talk to you.
What do you think, Holmes?
Let us search the room before the police get here. We might throw some light onto all this.
There's a thing here.
This draft screen makes an ideal hiding place.
As the theft was committed at night, I conclude that the thief hid himself behind the draft screen and waited until he was alone in the room.
Ah, okay.
Strange. There aren't any prints. Yet I'm sure that the thief hid here.
Interesting.
When the servants arrived at the door, having been alerted by the bell, they saw evidence of the theft and the fire, but they didn't see the thief.
This door is very hard to force. The Marquis is the only person to have the key. The thief could not get out through here until eventually, when the door was opened by the servants.
Oh, okay.
Ah, Mr. Holmes, you're already here.
Good morning, Inspector. You've arrived just in time.
Scotland Yard arrives like the cavalry, always in the nick of time. Ah, but I know that satisfied expression, Mr. Holmes. Have you already solved the case?
It's possible.
We have retraced the thief's rather unusual footsteps. He is a true acrobat. But what I cannot understand is that when the servants entered the room, there was no one to be seen. An acrobat, perhaps, but an invisible one? I do not think so.
The only explanation is that the thief escaped before the servants arrived. I don't know how, but there is no other way.
Half a point for the doctor, nil for the inspector.
I'm guessing it might
I'm
have
pleased to see that
been
you'll
to
find
do
the
with the
situation
screens.
amusing, Mr. Holmes. Very well then, explain.
Dr. Watson was correct when he mentioned acrobatics, but he is mistaken about the nature of the acrobat. As for you, Baines, you're quite incorrect, as the thief was in the room when the
He
servants
was sneaked
entered.
out when the servants were
Explain, for
busy
heaven's
trying
sake,
to
Mr.
get the
Holmes.
fire out.
Watson, how could a thief be missed in the middle of 8 men?
I don't know. Because he is very small?
Child.
Stop teasing us, Holmes.
Exactly, because he is small and remarkably agile.
You're thinking of a monkey?
And a trained monkey.
Oh,
at
a
that,
monkey.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
A Leontopithecus rosalia from Central America.
I was thinking like a child or something.
The animal had been hidden inside the room for several hours, calmly awaiting the signal from his master. Once night had fallen and the room was empty, a high-frequency whistle alerted the monkey that it was time to begin the procedure for which he had been trained. The monkey emerged from his hiding place and used the point of a diamond to open the glass cabinet and steal the necklace. He headed across to the window by the chimney, but knocked over the stool, which in turn knocked aside the fire guard and started the fire. The frightened monkey jumped from the chimney by swinging from the bell pull, thus alerting the house servants. He then went to the window and began to use his diamond to cut a hole, but was interrupted by the staff trying to gain entry via the door, and he panicked again.
So he would have gone to
ran
the
across
chandelier.
piano, scattering the music scores
Oh,
onto
yeah.
the floor, before hiding inside the chandelier, knocking over a candle. Finally, the servants and the Marquis entered the room, leaving the door open while they put out the fire. It was during the confusion that our agile little thief made his escape through the doorway. As simple as that.
A brilliant explanation. Bravo, Holmes.
And the necklace?
I can see it from here, my friends. It's right in front of us.
We have searched the room from top to bottom, Holmes. How were we unable to find it?
Because we paid insufficient attention to the only victim of this affair.
What victim? No one is dead?
Yes, Watson.
Oh, the
poor
goldfish.
goldfish, whose destiny was to die, crushed by one of the most precious necklaces in England.
The aquarium is just beneath the chandelier. I understand.
The little monkey had likely hung the necklace around its neck and lost it when he leapt from the chandelier. The jewels fell into the aquarium, where they remain now.
Well then, that case solved.
Marquis, here is your necklace, intact, just a little wet.
Mr. Holmes, this brilliant demonstration does credit to your reputation.
Well, thank you so much, Marquis. Do you wish to verify the authenticity of your jewel?
No, I recognize it. I have spent many hours admiring it, you know.
Good. I will return it to its box and...
Inspector, a bank has just been held up. You must follow me at once. Orders of Scotland Yard.
What times?
Sirs, duty calls. My regards, Marquis. And well done again, Mr. Holmes.
There, the necklace is in its box. We've lost enough time here. Let's go home, Watson.
Ah, very well, as you wish. A good day to you, Marquis.
With pleasure, gentlemen. And once again, thank you.
This morning's newspaper. Holmes, have you read this article about you?
No, Watson, not yet, and I won't have time to.
Read it before you leave. It's outrageous.
If you insist.
Okay, sure. What does it say about me? Sherlock Holmes at the home of the Marquess of Cunningham. The investigation is a fiasco. Yesterday, the celebrated detective Sherlock Holmes was invited to the manor of the Marquess of Cunningham to supply his conclusions. Following his investigation into the disappearance of the priceless Simone's necklace, it should be recalled that lady called in the detective after the police appeared, flummoxed in the face of the astonishing circumstances surrounding the theft. Okay. Indeed, the valuable piece of jewellery disappeared while the door to the room in which it displayed was locked. The alarm was raised by the servants led by the room service bell ringing out during the night. When the Marquess, the only person in possession of the key, opened the door, everyone rushed in to extinguish the fire that had started, for it was noticed that the necklace had mysteriously vanished. The most astonishing fact is that no thief was found within the room, and all the exits were closed. As usual, Mr. Holmes resolved the case in the twinkling of an eye, and a jewel was recovered. I will not waste my time on the various explanations as to the disappearance, because I would prefer to draw your attention, dear readers, to the last surprising developments in the case. Following the departure of Sherlock Holmes, who placed the necklace in the safe himself, Marcus noticed that the jewel was nothing but a poor copy of the original. Ooh, that's not good. Let it not be forgotten that the salmon necklace, although plain and without ornament, is unique because of the rarity of its pearls. Pearls which are found only in a small part of the lagoon of the archipelago of the same name, and to which scientists attribute their exceptional quality to their strong dynasty of the crystal of aragonite that they are made of. The priceless necklace, brought here at the beginning of the century by Lord Fenton Awick, the Marquess' godfather and an eminent explorer, should have been part of her daughter's dowry for her marriage to the Duke of Newcastle. So I'm going to place a simple question. Shall we not in all open-mindedness, ask ourselves if the necklace was not simply and deliberately exchanged for a fake by Mr. Holmes himself. I am aware, dear readers, that the brutality of this question, without any preconceptions, may certainly shock some of you. But the facts are there, and our thoughts and judgments should not be confused with the regard which we all share for this famous detective. It is not the first time that a globe explorer has expressed his reservations as to Sherlock Holmes' methods. Do not forget our counter-investigation into the escape of Renze Lupin, the Frenchman who took arrogant pleasures in tarnishing the image of our royal family, and who, by lurking chance, managed to elude capture by Mr. Holmes. At the time, we did not hesitate to consider tact complicity on the part of the latter. For those who are familiar with Mr. Holmes, it is quite apparent that his character traits show more of the opportunist and brilliant superb than that of the altruistic defender of the law. I would draw the attention of our readers to suggesting that the description of this gentleman provided by his friend Dr. John Watson should, through his stories, is a long way off from the truth. Deedee's behaviour derives why must you use big words that I cannot pronounce? Haughty and offensive towards the police, and in particular towards Inspector Baines, placing Inspector Lestrade, who is currently confidence and I'm sorry, I can't pronounce some words, and an habitual abuser of narcotics such as heroin and cocaine. This is why, dear readers, it is important to disregard Sherlock Holmes' good reputation in order to form an objective opinion and to ask a pertinent question. Was the necklace that Holmes found already a fake? If that's the case, why did he not mention it? And why should he insist on placing it back within the safe himself? Has the detective some unsavory interest in this affair, or is this a simple case of deceit in order to steal the extraordinary salmon necklace? It's up to you, dear readers, to form your own opinions, but you can count upon your humble servant to continue revealing to the public the doubtful means and motivations of one who lives in the future. I shall not hesitate to call Sherlock Holmes a usurper. To be continued, O'Farley. Well, screw you, O'Farley. Okay, then there's more stuff if you want to read that.
Prince Woodville, French culinary expert and bagpipe player, might be our next king. That's not so shocking, my dear fellow.
You know exactly to which article I'm referring, Holmes. How can Farley dare to tarnish your reputation like that?
You know, Watson, that wherever glory walks, jealousy is bound to follow. As for the forgery of the necklace, I suspect that we shall soon be enlightened in this regard. Come in, Inspector Baines, the door's open.
Hello.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. How did you know I was here?
You are one of our rare visitors who avoids the second-to-last step of the stairs, which creaks dreadfully. And if I add the clinking of the handcuffs at your belt, to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit, Inspector?
Have you read that, Rag?
Let's get straight to it, necklace.
Inspector, I assume that you have the fake necklace with you. It's why you're here. Your superiors would like me to examine it.
Indeed. They would like you to confirm or deny putting this fake in the box.
Can't that wait? I must go to the house of Lord Peregrine Maitland, the Bishop of Knightsbridge.
Inspector, can you explain this slander? Has the necklace of the Samoas really been replaced by a fake?
I don't know how the reporter got hold of the information, but it's true. About the necklace, of course. I wouldn't permit myself to question the integrity and honesty of Mr. Holmes.
The necklace is a forgery? Impossible! I saw the Marquis authenticated before my very eyes, before Holmes returned it to its place.
Mr. Holmes, the Marquis believes Osmond Farley's theory. I shouldn't be surprised if the reporter isn't behind all this slander about you. He's a freelancer, well known for his explosive and subjective articles. In any case, The Marquis assures us that you were the last person to have the necklace in your hands.
Let's return to the Marquis's house, Holmes. I'm sure that we'll have no trouble in taking apart this theory.
It is unnecessary. Such allegations collapse on their own, like one of Mrs. Hudson's soufflés. Let us leave the police to solve this problem and turn our attention to the matters in hand.
Perhaps you are right, Holmes.
And the Marchioness?
She is beside herself. Without the necklace, her marriage is compromised. It is the principal item of the young woman's dowry.
What a lovely marriage. Holmes, forgive me for insisting, but don't you want to examine the fake jewellery?
Watson, I have an appointment, and it's out of the question that I arrive late.
It will only take you a couple of minutes. You really must quell the suspicions put forward in this appalling article. If you will allow me, Inspector.
Be my guest.
Very well.
Okay.
What do you think, Holmes?
Oh, it's there. Okay. Yeah, I see. There's an odd one right there.
This pearl is a different colour.
Yeah. So are these ones here.
These 3 pearls are of poor quality.
Okay, what else is there? Oh yeah, there's a small one right there
This
as well.
pearl is too small. It is not in its place here. Too many defects. This necklace is a fake. This is nothing but a vulgar copy, and at a glance it would appear that the forger has intended for it to be seen as such.
How could we have been fooled by such a blatant imitation? I don't understand.
Yes, how is it possible? Holmes, do you have a theory about this?
I have absolutely no idea. You insisted that I examine the necklace, and I have done so. Now it is important that I keep my appointment. I'm sure, Inspector, that you will throw some light on this affair.
Holmes.
You may accompany me, Watson, if you care to do so.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I'll keep you informed as to my inquiries.
Goodbye, Inspector. You mentioned a bishop, didn't you? Are we going to his home?
Yes, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. I put his address on our map of London on my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
All right, Holmes.
Oh, now Watson. Okay. Interesting.
The work table, where Holmes analyses things.
Okay, nice to know.
Holmes's homemade analyzer. I have found your map.
Okay. Looks like we've only got one place to go.
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the Bishop of Knightsbridge?
Yes. Yes, of course. But come in.
What has happened, Reverend?
Guess he's been
What?
killed.
I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God. How horrible. I haven't called anyone. How did you know that?
Holmes, look!
That's not good.
Appallingly mutilated.
How dreadful.
Mutilated. And killed. He was such a good man. How could anyone be so brutal? Look at him. He is barely recognizable now. How could any of God's children be responsible for that?
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend. Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
No, Reverend. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
In that case, I must ask you to leave, and not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question. I don't even know you. I'm going to call the police, whether you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one. Therefore, we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain. The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen, and indeed it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson. Do continue.